It pains me deeply that stealth has been relegated to an accessory mechanic in other genres, but I must admit it's the only thing that has kept its essence alive. While we don't have as many pure stealth games anymore, we do have dozens of action and even role-playing titles that rely on shadows as a way to offer gameplay variety, which isn't ideal but also works. To be honest, I enjoyed nothing more than discovering that a game initially focused on direct combat also allows me to use alternative, silent methods to deal with each confrontation, as it makes me miss the days when it was a predominant genre a little less. Regardless of my personal sadness over its systematic absence, it's undeniable that numerous adventures have taken full advantage with darkness to enhance their proposals, as I'm here to show you with this list of 10 RPGs where stealth is overpowered.
It took me many years to finally give Dying Light a chance, and I was incredibly surprised to find a spiritual successor to Far Cry and not one to Mirror's Edge. This applies to the mission structure, antagonists, gameplay, map design, and much more. But curiously, it also applies to how its mechanics allow stealth to be transformed into the informal, easy mode. From the moment I first acquired a bow and a silenced pistol, I never felt fear in any imaginable context. Not even when facing hordes of Reese's thugs or when being chased by multiple volatiles in the night. The increased sense of power these tools provide is so great that I stopped feeling fear and worrying about my resources and simply started enjoying the experience in an open world where everyone is trapped with me, not the other way around. Although I was scared of my own shadow for the first 10 hours, everything after that was child's play. I've enjoyed just a few games in which stealth has changed the sensation so much, and the first Dying Light is definitely among them.
For a game where summoning meteors to take down giant chimeras is a daily occurrence, Dragon's Dogma 2 has a stealth variant that's more functional than it initially appears. Although exclusive to the thief, its ability to blend into the environment and attack unsuspecting enemies is limited but powerful, allowing you to take out entire patrols before any of them can sound the alarm. However, it's an extremely difficult type of gameplay and not recommended for new players, but rather for veterans looking to energize their experience by tackling mechanics that are only powerful if you know how to fully exploit them. Stealth in Dragon's Dogma 2 demands excessive awareness of both enemy positioning and trajectory, and it's horrible when it comes to missions that require you to use it. However, it's an exceptional alternative if you're like me and have trouble fighting bosses with multiple minions nearby. You can turn invisible, execute enemies from behind, and use smoke bombs, which sounds like little, but without being the most fun style in the world, it really is more than enough to destroy minions and farm quickly.
I've finished Deus Ex Human Revolution several times, and I don't think I've ever dared to stray from its stealth, because it's so superbly implemented. From the level design to the enemy positioning, everything seems to be in place to make you spend the entire game crouching, slipping through ventilation ducts, and executing absolutely everyone without them even realizing you're there. When a game gives you silenced snipers, the ability to execute every enemy from behind, plenty of vertical movement to evade dozens of opponents at once, the ability to turn invisible, and to guard a population that seems deaf no matter how much noise you make, you realize their creators really wanted you to be stealthy. When I try direct combat, I always end up dying, spending too many resources, taking too long, and feeling like I'm playing Deus Ex Human Revolution clumsily. So believe me when I say stealth is the way to go, both for fun and practicality.
Despite all the above, in all these years of searching for video games where I can be as stealthy as I want, none compared to the plethora of possibilities offered by Cyberpunk 2077. You have so many tools to exercise stealth that, as entertaining as the gunplay is, I struggle to recognize that there are other ways to play it, other than sneaking through the rooftops of each location and murdering every living thing with a couple of moves.
Becoming a netletter and hacking all your enemies from a camera lens when your body isn't even close to them is incomparably satisfying and potent. Although it's just one of the many ways you can be stealthy. You can pull out your sniper and fire quietly from another rooftop, approach them in close quarters and slow down time to throw knives at everyone's head, lurk in the shadows to execute them in close quarters or with silenced pistols, and more options I can't even mention because I'm not creative enough. Certainly, facing bosses when you're going for a stealth build becomes a lot more difficult, but I've always thought it's worth it because you can almost speedrun the rest of the missions, given how quickly you can obliterate your enemies without blinking.
Including Assassin's Creed Shadows on a list of RPGs with useful stealth, instead of just a list of stealth games, is something I wouldn't have believed 10 years ago, but here we are. Unlike its RPG-leaning predecessors, I think Naoi's adventure, not Yosuke's obviously, is Ubisoft's best approach to the shadow genre in the last decade, with many viable systems finally built to avoid relying on brute force. I can't explain how satisfying it is to run into an enemy outpost, throwing knives in everyone's face, stealthily executing them at Ezio Auditore speed, gliding through environments with incredible grace, and lunging at enemies with my grappling hook, all in a matter of seconds. It's a very fast-paced stealth, less methodical, but still extremely entertaining and relevant. Plus, the fact that it's all executed with parkour filled with unnecessarily showy and completely unrealistic animations makes it so much better, if you ask me.
The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim isn't a difficult game by any stretch, which is why every build you can think of is likely viable, but you'll never find one that gives you as much power as stealth. The concept of sneaking into a dragon's lair and wiping out its entire health bar with only the melee attack of a dagger is literally unmatched, because you can't do anything remotely as similar as a major warrior. There comes a point in the game where you're so powerful that you can steal and kill in plain sight and still remain undetected, creating such drastic and unbelievable circumstances that you have to admit Bethesda went a bit overboard when coding the stealth mechanics. Whether it's because you're practically invisible and can sneak anywhere you want for as long as you want, or you can assassinate everyone from a distance in a crit party with a bow, or you can retreat from any fight simply by crouching, it's a playstyle that disables every possible challenge. Honestly, the situation is so blatant that I wouldn't recommend going for stealth in your first playthrough of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, as it will create an illusion of power you won't be able to replicate with any other playable class.
The Outer Worlds is among Obsidian's best titles of the last couple of years, one I like to talk about every chance I get due to the remarkable depth its systems offer. While it's clear stealth isn't its main focus, playing with the skills, stats, and tools the game provides to successfully use it was a pleasant experience, as well as a remarkably powerful one. It's a highly specific build that requires you to invest points in stealth to move quickly while crouching and deal more damage to unsuspecting enemies, hacking to disable enemy robots, medicine to turn consumables into candy to become a god, and one-handed melee can make every blow feel like you're splitting the earth in half. If you get comfortable with the level design and enemy positioning, you'll be able to run around at absurdly silent speeds, killing everyone before they even spot you. So much so that you'll almost feel sorry for yourself because you'll feel like you're making the game a walk in the park. Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning is one of the video games I've seen rely the most on spectacular execution animations, something that carried over wonderfully into its stealth mechanics. Nothing makes you feel more powerful than lurking behind a giant, heavily armored ogre and being able to kill it in one hit, allowing you to lighten the combat load when there are many enemies to fight. Although being able to take them all out stealthily is a complicated task, whittling down their numbers without being detected is what allowed me to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, though it also helped me enjoy gameplay systems that usually take a backseat. Between using abilities like smoke bombs or potions to make myself invisible, Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning is a title that makes stealth very powerful, but it forces you to work to get the most out of it, which I think is a trade-off that's as fun as it is functional. Just because a playstyle is highly useful doesn't mean it's entertaining, and I can't think of a better way to describe stealth in Fallout 3. Wearing the Chinese stealth armor makes you undetectable in a force of nature that wipes out everything in one fell swoop. Have I had fun using that style of play? Absolutely not. You don't even have to be careful not to make any noise or use silenced weapons, as combining said gear with maxed out sneak and the silent running perk lets you use a shotgun if you want and still remain undetected. It's not immersive, and dare I say it, not fun either, but I can't think of a better way to break Fallout 3. In fact, it's such a powerful combination that it ruins the experience if it's your first playthrough, so only use it when you've already played 4 different runs and want to see something truly new.
Talking about an Arcane Studios project inevitably involves mentioning stealth mechanics, which are bound to be included, as is the case with Redfall, whose AI ultimately makes it an extremely overpowered mechanic. Although it's not as prevalent a facet as it is in Dishonored, the playable character Jacob Boyer is the equivalent of Corvo in this universe, a shadowy killing machine whose tools are made for stealth. With a raven that can scout the area and mark enemies, numerous silenced weapons that deal extra damage to the head, the ability to turn invisible, and the ease of movement the title offers, opting for silence is the closest the title comes to being an entertaining experience. Because, yes, I'm not ignoring its profound shortcomings, but rather acknowledging an immutable reality of my time with it. Stealth makes Redfall end quickly, even with its clunky backstabbing animations.